Flat Tracker, go, go, go.
All right, so we're off on this pod. It's actually a cross pod. It's two pods. I'm already starting, Corey. I get a bit tongue twisted. So Tank Slapping pod, Corey Texter, and the KELPI Flat Track pod, Tom Northey and myself, Darcy Claver. We're all getting together to chat about the sport we love today. It's not so much an interview, but it is to introduce both our audiences to other people that love the sport and that are trying their hardest to promote the shit out of it and bring it to the masses. And Corey actually has a co-host, Eric Hartley, as well, but I threw this on him. I think it was about 5:30 your time, Corey, and so it's all been a bit thrown together. Tom said "fuck you" to his boss, and I'm going. He wanted to be on it, so he's come home for this one specially. But we don't do heaps of swearing on here, Corey, but don't hold back, mate. Go for it. I know you guys don't mind a bit of cursing, as you Yanks call it over there. So welcome to Aussie. It's 11:40 a.m. our time. What is it your time?
8:40 p.m. So slightly before bed. I was at the motocross track today and got a little bit of riding in, and it actually worked out well where I didn't have anything really going on tonight. We're actually doing a podcast tomorrow with one of my good buddies, Chad Coase. So we're going to talk with Chad, and it's all good, man. Thanks for having me on. And I'm definitely an Aussie flat track fan. I try to watch as many of the clips and video as I can. I obviously know Max Whale very well. He's spent quite a bit of time with me at my house here and hangs out with Briar and Shayna quite a bit. And I know the Drain family. I know Luke. I know Kirkness. And there's actually another kid over there that I've been talking with who might hopefully come over to America next year and do some training with me. Bodie Page, a kid I've been talking with. I met him at Amateur Nationals this year and really, really liked the kid. Super talented and just really fun to kind of be around. He vibes well with my little crew of guys that I train. So stoked to be on.
Yeah, sweet. You've been getting quite a few Aussies going over for the AM Nationals and that, which I think is pretty awesome. I sort of promoting racing at home more than and going to America. As you imagine, it costs those families quite a bit of coin, and we want the 19-inch setup and the 17-inch setup to grow here, so that if they do choose to go and chase the dollars, so to speak, in America, that they've had a lot more time on it and a lot more prep. But from what you've seen of the Aussie riders going over there, they actually haven't spent much time on your setup. What do you reckon?
I'm always very impressed with pretty much every Aussie that comes over. I mean, none of the Aussies that come over are slow. I mean, they ride very different. You can tell that they ride a different setup normally when they come over, but they're really good on the cushion tracks. They love the throttle. And I think a lot of the American riders are soft. Like a lot of the kids, they're just kind of whiny. They're just very entitled. And the Australian kids, it's a sigh of relief. Like they come over here and they don't whine. They just send it. And, they crash, they get back up. It just seems like the Aussie kids they're raised a little bit more blue collar, old school, where they're just very, very determined, very gritty. And that's why when they come over, a lot of them do very well. It just seems like the American kids, a lot of them are just very, very coddled and soft. I hate to say it about my guys, but the Aussie kids, they're very, very impressive. Like I said, I've watched Tom Drain when he was over here. Well, I watched Max when he was over here when he was young. And then when Tom Drain came over in 2019 on a 250, I was coaching Chase Sathoff, and he went toe to toe with Tom Drain. And then last year when Drainey came over, I tweeted that nobody knew who he was. I'm like, that kid's going to get top 5 at Lima. And he ended up getting second. And people thought I was crazy. I'm like, dude, he's good. Same thing with like the Bodie Page kid, he had a couple podium finishes this year at amateur nationals, in a very stacked class. And I never heard of the kid. He's a little scrawny kid, man. He's small, and he was just very, very impressive.
Yeah, we've got quite a few of them over here that are like that, and unfortunately, some of them can't get across to America for whatever reason, which is sort of a shame. But I don't know if you've heard, but we now have a guy called Dave Maddock that started the Aussie Flat Track Nationals, or the AFTN we call it, and we've got the last 2 rounds in November of that. It's only a short series at the moment, but we're hoping to build that and grow that. And all those kids that are basically going to the AM Nationals and that in it, Bodie and Jed Fife and Hugo, and yeah, they're impressive, and you can tell that they've had massive seat time, and the experience of going to America, and most of them do cross disciplines, road racing. Quite a bit of road racing actually, and that FIM Oval, is it Oval Cup? I don't know much.
We call it Ovale. Yeah, that was I thought that was cool about the Bodie kid. Once again, he runs the 190 Ovales, which I don't know how much you know about my background, but I actually run the Moto America Mini Cup series here in America, which is our premier road racing series. So I was trying to get him over here to do the Ovale races in Moto America, but it just didn't work out. But yeah, you mentioned Fife. That was the kid's name, Fife, and Hugo, and then Daniel Wicks when he came over, Wixie. And then when I was really young, it was like 2005 or 2006. A bunch of Aussies came over once again. I don't remember their names, but there was a bunch of them that came over, and they raced the amateur nationals in Springfield, Illinois, and they were fast too. So yeah, I mean. And I grew up racing Kirkness, and I grew up racing against Luke, and they're very, very aggressive, very fast racers. So yeah, like I said, I follow it quite a bit. It's so different though, like you said, with the 19-inch tires. I think that's cool that you guys are trying to kind of run the 19-inch tires. It makes it more universal, like the sport. I know in Europe, like Mark Marquez and those guys, when they did the Super Prestigio, they were running 17-inch tires. And I thought that was kind of whack. Like I would like to see the 19-inch tires, because I think it creates a little bit more separation than the 17-inch tires did, and honestly, I don't even I'm pretty short. A lot of us, like American riders, we're short. I mean, we're pretty short, and this standard Aussie setup that you guys run, it's like taller bikes. I don't think I'd like that at all. I don't think I could fucking touch I don't think I could touch the ground. So, I think it's cool that you guys are going to doing more 19-inch stuff in your country.
Yeah, so they're basically going to coincide. So the 2119 or 2118 is really what they use, because the Michelin rear tire is the fastest. That's the fastest tire. And but the downside to it is it pulls to pieces in like 6 laps. But and that's the positive of the American tires. They do last a lot longer. Some people, there's a lot of debate about it in Aussie. It's pretty messy actually, because there's like you guys with your framer dudes and that they don't want things to change, but change is here, just accept it and get over it. But so it's basically going to coincide is the way I see it moving forward, and the guys that want to embrace the American setup are, and we hope that it's just going to keep growing, and other people will see the potential that brings to for our riders and the country, and business side of things. The sport over here, as far as business, has always been a little bit on the more amateur side, I suppose, fair to say, isn't it, Tom? Like, there has been some good series in the 80s and 90s, but once cigarette companies could stop, couldn't sponsor anymore, and that it sort of dropped off a bit. So, we have, one of the things I wrote down actually is we have very similar, like listening to your pod over the years, we've had very similar issues, getting crowds to the track, and obviously the social media side of things, and live coverage, and and all that live streaming and all that sort of stuff. We don't have quite the money scale you guys do. Personally, that's something I really want to build on and create for the riders here, that they actually can get a bit of an income, whether they actually make a profit from it or break even, it doesn't matter. But I think it really sucks that riders spend thousands of dollars to go racing, and they're going to do it whether they're getting paid or not, but don't get anything back for it, or it's all out of their pocket, and it's a big strain on the family. It's pretty
I also
hard,
think there's like I talk about it on my show a lot too, but I think there's a lot. Obviously, we all want to get paid more, and it'd be cool for the series to pay more money, more prize money. But I also think there's a lot more that the riders can do personally. I think with social media the way it is right now, and kind of creating a brand, sort of like Jet Lawrence does a really good job at it. I remember his first interview before we even knew he was going to be good. He was eating donuts on the podium, and that was something that stuck with me for a long time. And then, and Jack Miller too, another Aussie. His personality is amazing, and he shows his personality a lot when he's getting interviewed. He is himself to a T. And I love that about those two riders. And I kind of give Tom Drain a hard time. It's like, he's so good, but he on the podium, he doesn't look excited. I'm like, bro, you just fucking won a huge national, look excited. And that's something that I think would help Tom's brand a little bit. I mean, his results speak for themselves. He's a great rider. And even Max to a little bit. Max has definitely gotten better over the years, but just showing your personality and not being afraid of that. I think a lot of it is just a little bit of nerves, but I think showing that personality, pushing your social content, posting videos, that's a way that these guys can get paid more as well. Before I even won anything important, I was getting paid just for doing this extracurricular stuff that I do. And it definitely helps your brand getting your name out there and doing that.
Yeah, Tom's he's young for a start, but he's quite reserved. Like, I did a pod with him, and it was great, but it was probably one of the harder ones. Like, there's some guys that you can just talk to real easy, and
his little brother won't shut up, man. Sam, he just talks. And then you have Tom, who I was like prying it out of him. I'm like, come on,
that's
man.
Right. Yeah. It is like that, and very short answers, which, as you know, as a host, makes it really hard. It's he
wins races. He wins races.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Example, Luke Goff is the total opposite. I think you hear me and Tom talk about 4 times in 2 hours with his interview.
That's how I had Brad Baker on. I've had guy like Brad. He's very well spoken, and fuck, dude, I just ask him a question and I just drink a couple beers when he answers it, man. It makes our job very. I just had Jimmy Felice on as well recently, and he was very sought out and had good answers where you don't have to push the pot a little bit. But no, I mean, everyone has different personalities. So it's, some people just want to ride their dirt bike. They don't give a shit. I mean, my sister Shayna, she's similar. Like, she could care less about any of that stuff, social media, and she don't care. She just likes riding motorcycles. And then when she's done, she wants to go hunting. Like, she'll disappear. She won't post on social media for months. I don't even know the last time she posted, to be honest. So yeah, everybody's different for sure.
What made you start the pod? Like, what was the drive to get you doing it? You just saw that no one was doing it, or I mean, Off the Groove was happening then, wasn't it, when you started? So you just sort of thought, I could bring a different flavor to this, or?
Well, actually, me and Scotty, we had a podcast together back in like 2014. It was called Flat Track Weekly Radio. And I mean, I was doing podcasts before they were even popular. I mean, back then there were no podcasts. Like, now everybody's doing a podcast, which it's awesome. Like, it's good for the sport. But no, actually, Chris Carter, who started Off the Groove with Scotty Dubler, we started talking, and he was like, why don't you do a pod? I'm like, all right. Like, it's a lot of work for very little reward. And I'm like, all right, man, like, that might be fun. And he really was big and helping me get it going. And as well as Jake Johnson, two-time, 4-time. I mean, he's won a bunch of races.
I'm not sure of the stats. You'd be more up on that than me.
Yeah, Jake, he's one of the best, most talented riders to ever freaking ride a flat track bike, but he's a friend of mine and we started doing the pod together. And yeah, there was no real direction with it. We wanted to do something that showed more personality of the riders. Like you mentioned, we are exactly who we are on the podcast. We offend people because of the cursing, and it's just like, dude, it's just as we would be at the bar hanging out, shooting the shit, and it took off, man. Like we've had some really good guests on our show where I never thought it would go that direction. I mean, we've had Kenny Roberts and Wayne Rainey and Kevin Schwantz and Travis Pastrana and Scott Parker, Jay Springsteen. I mean, we've had so many. I know I'm missing like Colin Edwards. Like we've had probably 8 MotoGP riders, world champions. It's been crazy. So, and now it's just what we do. Like I don't know, we just do it. I don't know. We have a really good following, and I don't want to let the fans down by not keeping it going. But yeah, it's fun. It kind of like when I was racing and competing for championships, it kind of took my mind off of me being a racer, and I could kind of focus on other things. Like I just recently saw an interview where Christian Craig, actually, they made him Alden Baker made him stop doing his podcast because he said it didn't want him to affect his racing. And I'm like, dude, like you can only think about being a racer so much. I can only watch so much film. I can only spend so much time in the gym. And the podcast was a way for me to just be myself and talk about the sport I love and let people hear it. Whether they want to hear it or not, they'll tune in or they won't. And it gives people a platform to discuss flat track, because in motocross and road racing, there's so many podcasts, and yeah, it's just another media forum to listen to.
So that's a good point. Sort of leads me into a thought that I have often, and that's there is so much motocross and road racing, and it's always at the forefront. Why do you think flat track and dirt track's always? Because I sort of get the impression it's similar over there in America, sort of like the poor cousin, or like down the bottom of the scale. Why do you reckon that is?
Yeah, redheaded stepchild, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's the original motorcycle sport. I mean, that people were flat tracking before they were doing any other form of motorcycle racing. So I don't know. I mean, it's pretty niche. Like when you buy the bike off the showroom floor, you have to do a bunch of shit to it to get it ready to flat track. I mean, you lower it, you put slick tires on. People call them slicks. And when people watch it, it doesn't look familiar for them. Like it's weird kind of. So a lot of times they're not drawn to it, but man, I don't know. I think that's the golden question. If we could figure that out, we'd all be making more money. Right. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a shame too. Like I said, I really think the riders can do more as well. I mean, we have top 10 riders that just nobody hears from them. Like they watch them race, but they don't ever post on social media. They don't do anything. Whereas in motocross, like Justin Barcia and Christian Craig and Jason Anderson and pretty much everybody but Tomac, they have some sort of platform where they're showing their personality. And then the fans, when they go to watch the sport, they're cheering for a personality in addition to the riding. And that makes people want to watch it more when they kind of feel like they know the person a little bit. You see it with the Lawrence brothers and Deegan, and you see it a lot, in other forms of motorcycle racing, but it just kind of lacks in flat track.
Yeah, and I think it's same problem over here, all the same issues. We were even worse off because we didn't have a series. Now we have a series, and I really hope it's going to stick around, because that's something we can use to market the sport and try to get more people. So what happens is your riders, your family and friends all follow, and then it sort of stops there. How do you draw people in that might go to footy and have never watched it and go, oh, actually, that's pretty entertaining, I wouldn't mind coming and watching it. So that's sort of the angle I'm looking at it, is how do we draw those people in? And every time I say I do flat track racing, they go, oh, is that motocross? No, it's not motocross, it's flat track racing. We race on a flat circus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, speedway.
Yeah.
Oh, speedway. No, it's not speedway.
It's hard to explain it. Yeah.
It's you
I
stand
just
there
tell
for
them
20
I'm
minutes.
basically Evel Knievel. Evil Knievel, what he wrote. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
social media is free right now, right? So like one of the most popular videos I've ever seen was in Australia, was the first time I ever saw Kirkness ride around the wall at that
Oh,
track.
yeah.
Nobody in America has seen that. So it was getting shared. It went viral. And it turns out it's pretty common. Like a lot of
Real
guys
common.
run
Yeah,
that
yeah,
line.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we never seen it. So it got posted online and it got shared and shared and shared. So you see Dalton Gautier, Briar Bauman, a lot of these riders, they'll do these really cool social media videos of them sliding a bike and doing 360s. And that stuff's cool, man. And even like my son Cruz, like we go down in the basement and we take a bunch of videos of him, and he's got more followers than every pro combined, just because the videos are just cool, man. Like, so, they a lot of them started following Flat Track because of my 5-year-old's videos in his basement. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
cool.
the more we post that
Mm.
content and get that out there for people to see, it helps grow the sport for sure.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you. I have basement envy. We don't have basements
Yeah.
over here. I would love some polished concrete. I've got a big garage, but I just can't. I haven't got the dollars to put polished concrete in.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common like to have basements like that here in America. It's kind of funny because a lot of parts in the like other parts of the country, basements they don't exist. So I post these videos and immediately everybody thinks I'm like rich. Like, oh, I wish I was rich and had a basement. I'm like, dude, everybody has basements. I thought like where I'm at, it's very common. And people are like, must be nice to be rich. I'm like, because I have a basement, I'm rich. Like, so yeah, it's that perspective is crazy where I mean, growing up, everybody had basements. It's just we don't my basement isn't finished. It's just concrete. And we used to get pretty tuned up with the boys, and we would push the bikes down into the basement, and we would like in the winter we would ride bikes in the basement until the house started to smell too bad, and then we'd stop. But and then these electric bikes came out, and the first time I took him into the basement, it was awesome. Like he picked up on it right away, and now we do that all the time. The e-bike is so awesome for that, where now like the fumes don't mess up my cat, and my cat used to start walking funny because the fumes. So now the e-bike is cool.
That's animal cruelty you're admitting to there. I'd be
I
kidding.
know. She's still around. She was actually just meowing a second ago, so she's good. Yeah.
Cats are nuts. I've got 2 crazy cats, 3 crazy dogs, 6 crazy goats. Yeah, animals are cool.
Yeah, I don't have any goats, but
Yeah, I wouldn't wish them on you, Tori. They're pretty hard work.
yeah.
You actually lead to something there that I'd like to lead off: electric bikes. What do you reckon? Thought?
I think there's a time and place for them. Like, I don't think I want to see electric bikes at the premier level. I think the sound and the smell of what we do is something that shouldn't be overlooked. I think that's important in the sport. So, but like I said, man, it's cool to go down in the basement, ride the e-bike. It's cool you can ride more in like cities. Like I think of cities now, if they wanted to have like, how they have like skateboard parks or bicycle BMX parks. I think if you wanted to have like a dirt bike park in the middle of New York City or Philadelphia, it'd be a lot easier with e-bikes because that sound isn't bothering people. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of crazy how some of these e-bikes are coming along. They absolutely rip, and it's crazy to me. I mean, but also like I remember when the first 450 four-stroker came out from Honda in 2002, everybody said they were going to stop making two strokes in like a couple years, and they still make two strokes. So I don't know. I think it's got a time and place, but I'm not sure exactly. Maybe Supercross, maybe they run, indoors, they run e-bikes so people aren't getting fumed out. But I don't know. It sucks
Even
like
an E-class,
having to change
maybe.
batteries and shit too. It's kind of a pain.
Yeah. I think we'll probably just a MA, which is our controlling body over here, just released a statement saying that you can run them in the open class classes in motocross and dirt track and flat track over here. So at club level only. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. I mean, the Stark Varg makes 80 horsepower. I actually spoke to someone yesterday that his daughter got to ride one in the weekend and couldn't hold on to it at 80 when it was set at 80.
Yeah, that's fast. I mean, the thing about e-bikes, the power hits all at once. So like even Cruz's little Stasic he rides, it just dude, it'll loop over. Like it's snappier than even like a Cobra, like a 2-stroke 50cc with they're very snappy. So they're actually hard to ride. Just because the power hits all at once.
So dude, you're not racing. How old are you, Gabe?
I'm 36.
36, and you've retired. Wow, sort of.
Yeah,
I mean, you're doing a bit of racing in Canada, and I don't want to get all your critics and fans going on about what you're entering and what you're not entering and all that sort of stuff. But how are you feeling about it all? Like, this your first full year, basically being retired out of the pro circuit. You're happy with the way things are going? Have you got plans for next year that you can share, or?
Yeah, I mean it was interesting. There were some races that I definitely didn't mind sitting out, but there were quite a few that I wish I was still out there for. It took me so long to get to the point where I was competitive, and it took me 10-15 years to get to where I was. And then to just I feel like I kind of retired at the top of my game a little bit. And when they combined the classes this year, it was really hard to not want to be out there and race the best guys. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I got to race a couple races this year. I still ride all the time. I train just as hard as I did when I was racing. I coach Trent Lowe, who's a factory Turner Racing Honda rider. And then I train and coach Evan Renshaw, who just won the Horizon Award here, which is given to the best amateur rider in the country. Evan pretty much lives with me. He pretty much lives with me year round now, and I train with him. I train with a kid named Cody Kopp, who's he's kind of a squid, but he does all right sometimes. So I train with him a little bit. Obviously, Briar and Shayna. So I feel good. I mean, I ride with those guys all the time, so I know where I'm at on the bike. And I got to go up to Canada. I did a race up there. I did a couple of races here and there, but it was hard, man. I mean, I miss walking out to the starting line. I miss going to battle. I miss the intensity. I miss the paychecks. I miss getting paid. And plans for next year, I don't know. I mean, I want to race. I want to race more than I did this year, but I don't know what that entails yet. We'll see. I've been training really hard these last couple of weeks. I'm not sure why. I just got back into, I mean, the season, it would be over anyway, but I don't know. I've been kind of addicted to the last couple of weeks. I've been training a lot harder than I was in the summer, so I'm ready to go, but there's just no races to go to, so we'll see. In America here, we're still waiting on the schedule for American Flat Track. They haven't released the schedule yet, so we'll see. I didn't want to be that guy, the guy that retires and then he comes back literally a couple months later and races. I mean, I was really close to maybe doing Castle Rock. My sister Shayna actually tore her MCL in her knee this summer. She was kind of quiet about it, but she had a knee injury, and I was bouncing around the idea of riding her bike at Castle Rock in the 450 class. I was ready. I was really close to doing it, and she was considering it, but we just couldn't figure out how to make it work, and it didn't happen. But yeah, I'm ready to go. I don't know, man. I have a family now. I have a little boy. And I lost a really good friend last year. Ryan Varnes passed away in a crash there in New York. And that took a lot out of me mentally. And just trying to maximize that risk to reward. It just, at the time, it just didn't seem like it was worth it anymore.
Yeah, the family thing really changes your perspective, doesn't it? Like, I'm total opposite to you. I've won a few club championships and stuff like that, and like I said, we don't have a pro series over here. Even our Aussie titles, I haven't even got close. I'm a mid-pack guy, but I do love the racing. I love the burn. I love working and improving myself, and the personal challenge racing gives me of getting better. And I know you're not a lap time guy, and they are sort of irrelevant, but it does make me push harder if I see, last time I was here, I was doing 26-second laps, I want to get down or whatever. But the family thing, and definitely age, I started racing when I was 32. I'm now 46. So that age thing, I'll take on any 16-year-old lot just because I love proving them wrong. And I have proved a few 18-year-olds wrong. So that fighting desire is always there. But it gets hard, and the age definitely does play a part. And
I mean, the
you
age
become
thing,
more
the age
aware of
thing's
your
fine.
mortality or something. I think
Yeah.
you sort of realize,
The
life's
family thing
short.
is the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
The family thing, the age thing, I like I said, I train really hard. I mean, I still work these guys when we go training. So, you could ask Cody Cobb or Trent. I mean, I just whoop their asses. No, I'm just kidding. But
Is this why you give him so much shit? Like, you've been bagging Cody out on your pods for quite a while. Has he rung you up and said, "Hey man, stop bagging me out
oh
yet"? Or
man,
No, he loves it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, I only raced against Cody once this year and I beat him. So I don't know. I feel like he should give me his number one plate, honestly. I mean, I'm 1-0 against him. So we give each other a lot of shit, me and the boys, and I love to hammer Cody. He's such a good rider. I'm only kidding. He's fun to watch for sure. But yeah, I mean, age wise, I don't think age, I feel really good from, I'm 36, but definitely the family thing, that's the hardest thing. Whether or not I was 25 or 36 or 46, the biggest thing is was the family side of it. But I don't know, man. I shouldn't have won I won my last race. I did. That made it tough. It's nice to win your last race, but at the same time, it's like, dude, I don't know. Like, I wish I could have kept her going, especially because this year, a lot of the guys that I raced with last year, and I would beat, they had some pretty good finishes this year, like a bunch of top fives, top fours. So yeah, whatever. I mean, it's fine, dude. I just I miss riding the bike and competing. That's basically it.
Yeah, because there's a big difference for the people that don't race and the keyboard warriors, and that it is a big difference between riding, training, and actually competing. Like, there's nothing like competing. Like
There's
whether
nothing
you're
like
banging,
winning.
but I was actually going to say, and maybe it's because I haven't won enough, but I was going to say, as long as I'm banging bars with someone at the back, the middle, or the front, I'm happy. I come off smiling, and you just go, I had you, you had me, and that's, to me, that's what racing is, and those challenges against someone else, and it makes me want to work harder to beat someone, and if they keep beating me, I do get a bit fucked off about it.
I mean, for me, racing was so challenging. Like, it took me so long to figure it out. I mean, not trying to be arrogant, but everything else I did, everything in my life has come so much easier than flat track. Like, it's literally the hardest thing I've ever done, where I could pick up any video game. We could go karting. I could, I play golf sometimes, and I'm pretty good for never, like, anything else I've done, I've been pretty decent at right away. And flat track took me so long to figure it out. And that the challenge of being good and then winning. I mean, even when I was winning championships, man, like, I'll go out, I'll win a couple of races, and then I'll go out the next weekend, I'll qualify 10th. It's like, dude, this sport is so challenging. It's what draws me in. And now it's, on a new scale, like racing those younger kids, riding with Cody Kopp, riding with Evan Renshaw, and these younger kids that are 20 years younger than me. I love that challenge, dude. It gets me out of bed in the morning, when I have something to shoot for. But that's been the hardest thing, is just adapting to that, and that intensity. I mean, I was doing some rider coaching this year for the First Impressions team with James Ott and Chad Coase, and we would walk out to the starting line, and they would do the rider announcements, or they would do the national anthem, and I would start shaking, like I'd get fired up, and I wasn't even racing. It's like, I love that shit, man. That fires me up, and that's the part I miss the most. It's just that part of it. It's like, let's go. I'm just like hit myself in the chest, like, let's go.
Just hold on 2 seconds. seconds, I'll go get my levers on.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on, you're not riding. Yeah, I am. Get off.
I wish. There's a couple tracks this year for sure.
Hey, Tom, have you got much to say? You're pretty quiet there, and I'm hanging for a leak, so I'm going to hand it over to you for a minute.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I was just enjoying the conversation. But first, I'd like to congratulate you on your 2 production twin championships. It's a massive effort. I've followed you for as long as I've followed American Flat Track, and I've seen how emotional the first one was. I think the last race you might have got a DNF and still managed to pull enough points to pull the championship off. And just seeing the raw emotion and happiness and excitement was unreal. And my question I wanted to know the most, if they ran the production twins class again this season, would you have considered doing another year?
No, I mean, there were rumors going around that they were maybe going to run it again. There were rumors that they were combining it. And I honestly, I didn't know when I made my decision. I wanted to make my decision prior to that decision, like to that announcement. I didn't want that to affect my decision. On one hand, I'm not going to lie, I made good money being a production twins racer with the winnings and the championships and the bonuses and everything like that. But on another hand, I grew up in this sport, and my realistic goal has always been to win a national at the highest level. So I would trade in one of those championships, maybe even 2 of them, for just one win in the premier class. I got a couple thirds, a couple podium finishes. I podiumed the Springfield Mile one year. I had some decent results for kind of the bikes I was riding. I was always a privateer. I was always on bikes that I sort of put together in my garage. So no, I don't think that would have affected my decision at all. You can't race forever, man. And I feel like I train hard enough now where I could race till I'm in my 50s. I hope I'm still as healthy then as I am now, but no, I kind of made that decision prior to that, and whatever decision they went with. And actually, I think it was harder that they combined it, because a lot of people, they wanted to take away from what I've done in production twins, because it wasn't against Jared Meese and Briar Bauman, but there were a lot of tracks and, days where I felt if I would have jumped in their class, I would have gave them a run for their money. So it would have been cool to accomplish that goal. That was always my goal, was to win it wasn't to win a production twins championship. It was to win a race on a twin at the premier level. So I haven't accomplished that goal. So it would have been cool to where I'm at with my riding right now. I'm definitely a much better rider than I was 10 years ago. It would have been cool to see where I stacked up this year, but it is what it is, man. Everything happens for a reason. And I don't really look back too much. Always try to look forward.
I reckon you still got time. I reckon you could swindle a KTM off Briar and throw your leg over and give him a run for his money. He seems to be pedaling that bike around pretty decent.
I ain't riding that thing. That thing's scary. I don't know how he rides that thing, man. That's he's so talented. It's frustrating how talented some of these guys are. That's what kept me up at night, man, is how do I beat these guys that are so talented? And the second production twins title in 2021, I got fired up when I heard Dalton Gauthier was riding it, Dan Bromley. Those were 2 singles champions that won the singles class. And people make the argument that the singles class is the hardest, most competitive class. And, I had 2 of those recent champions who moved up to ride production twins. And that off season, that was a lot of motivation for me, was to go out there and whoop their asses. And, that was big. That was big for me to, when the competition got better in that class, I was really happy with that. The cool thing about production twins was all the bikes were essentially equal. Some bikes were a little bit better than others. Like I feel like the Harley, it was slightly better than the bikes I was riding, but my bikes were good. They were very similar, where in super twins, the guys who finished first and second, their bikes are way better than the guy that finishes sixth. Where in production twins, everybody had similar-ish bikes. And that was the draw for me. It's like, dude, I don't have to worry about showing up and already getting beat by another bike. I just have to go out and beat the other rider.
When you rode for G&G, that was on the MT-07, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Did you have modified frames or did you run the standard MT frame?
So initially when I started riding that bike, it was kind of branded as the FZ07, I think it was. Then somewhere along the lines, they rebranded it to the MT07, but they were custom frames. We've never run the stock frame. I don't think a stock frame would handle worth a shit. So
no, definitely not.
They're actually C&J.
America doesn't do stock, does it?
No, they don't.
The hooligan class is stock frames. Stock. And actually the bike that James Rispoli rode at the Red Mile in 22, where he won our class and he got third in the Super Twins class, that was essentially a stock frame.
Okay.
But we ran custom chassis. C&J was the name of the chassis that we pretty much ran. Lima last year, I ran my personal bike last year at Lima, and that was a big A linkage frame. It was a custom frame that I knew that worked really well on that loose cushion track. And I spent about 10 grand of my own money to build that bike just for Lima. I wanted to win Lima so bad. Shayna won Lima, Breyer won Lima. It's really historic racetrack, and I fucking wanted to win Lima. So I spent so much money. I was going to win that race or crash. And I won it. So that was a really emotional win for sure.
So 10 grand well spent then.
Isn't there an unwritten rule at Lima? If you win, you've got to shout pizzas for everyone that night?
That's what they say, but I didn't have to buy shit. So they probably knew I was cheap. I would have bought like 3 pizzas and told them to split them. But yeah, no, it was that was really special. It was worth every dollar. Like I had to win basically to break even on building the bike. So there was no other option. I wanted to win that race really bad. So
awesome.
And so in respects to growing the sport and that, what sort of things do you think that we can, I know you've touched on the tank slapping, but just while we're all here, what sort of things do you think can get more butts to trackside? And also just in general growing the sport, are you for the FIM Flat Track World Championship? Do you think that should be more monetized, or I can't talk money?
I don't know, man. I've been watching that series a little bit this year, and shit, man, Halbert sneezes and those guys fall over. So I don't.
Yeah,
I was actually really close to doing that FIM stuff this year. I had reached out to the FIM, and I was really, really close to doing it. I was building a bike for it. It was in my proposal to sponsors this year to do that FIM stuff. And the FIM, like they have 5 or 6 rounds, and you have to commit to all 5. Or they won't let you do 1 or 2 of them. You have to commit to all of them. And they wanted me to commit in like March, and the first race wasn't until August. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing in a couple of weeks. Like, I want to do it. I'm planning on doing it, but if you didn't commit, I heard like they were gonna fine me if I didn't do them. It was kind of whack. I was like, man, I'm not doing it. So I ended up not doing it. But I don't know. I don't want to fully knock what they're doing over there, because they do have some talented riders. I watched the races, and I got to meet like Gerard Bayo, and they came over to America. And I obviously know Ferran Cardus, and great riders, but just very soft. Man, like if you even get close to somebody, they disqualify you. And I thought I'm glad you brought that up. I've been wanting to vent about it for a while now, and I can't believe
let it all out.
I know, man. I can't believe that he got disqualified for the stuff he got disqualified for. I mean, Sammy, I'm not a big Sammy fan, to be honest. Sometimes he says shit that really bothers me, but he's a great rider, and I didn't think anything he did over there warranted at a DQ. So, but off topic, back to growing the sport. Yeah, I think just what I said. Like, I think the riders can do a better job. I just think the riders, they're so dependent on the series they ride for to kind of grow their name, where you shouldn't depend on like the series to grow you. I think you should go out and post your own content, post your own videos, and grow. I think it's the rider's job to grow the sport as much as it is the sport to grow the riders. So definitely would like to see the riders post more videos. I mean, even like you look at Axel Hodges or you look at Carson Brown, like these guys who don't even really race, like Tyler Behrman, Corey Creed, Colby Raha, like all these guys that just free ride, they don't race. They just post content, and everybody knows who Axel Hodges is. He's probably more popular than most supercross riders. So I think a lot of the racers could look at what they're doing and quit being lazy and post some shit and get their name out.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting angle. It's something that I have mentioned on our pod to riders, and it's a new concept for us over here. We're about 10 years behind America. My comment with the frame was sort of, like with the bag is one of my favorite videos, apart from James Tank slapping that bagger, was the video where they show where he's actually showing the bike and describing the parts on it and that sort of thing. And that's not in New Zealand. I was actually in New Zealand with my dad watching it, and we call them dressers over there. And that's not a stock standard dresser. That's a full blown race machine. And I love that America grabs something and just elevates it to the map. I think it's awesome. So we talk about stock classes and that over here, and there's pros and cons to everything. And yes, it might get more riders. Whether it got actually more followers of the sport, I don't know. I don't know. We're not really down on rider count. We've got lots of guys that are willing to put their neck on the line and love racing the sport. It's more about having a series to follow and marketing, I guess, how to market it. And you're 100% right. The riders can definitely chip in there and market the sport and themselves at the same time. And that will definitely help grow it. I've been watching American Flat Track over 10 years, I think, and I remember when Michael Locke came, and he seemed to elevate it a bit. Do you agree with that? Or I mean, I don't really know what happened, why he left, and all that sort of stuff. Do you reckon that's when it started to surge a bit?
I mean, I think he did a lot that actually was really good for the sport. I think he went overboard on a lot of things as well. I think it was like pushing the haulers, pushing you want to look good, but also here in America, I don't know if you've heard of like World of Outlaws, but like sprint car racing, it's pretty massive, and there's huge crowds. And it's about as hillbilly as you can get. I mean, it is blue collar. There's nothing pretty or shiny about it. And the fans love it. And I don't think he understood our demographic very well. He's from, I don't know exactly where he's from, but he's European. His personality is, he comes from, I think he worked with Ducati. He worked with a lot of different brands that I don't know how to word this, because I have a lot of respect for Michael Locke, and I thought he did a lot of things that were really good for the sport. But I also think I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he did a lot of good things, but I think there's a balance that you need to find, and I feel like we missed that balance a little bit, and we pushed a lot of the hardcore fans away from the sport, thinking we would bring in like the MotoGP-ish crowd, and our fans they're just not those people, man. They're blue collar people. They like to get dirty. They don't care about how shiny their Harley is when it arrives to the track. It's definitely, you got to know your demographic. My background is prior to everything else, I grew up in a Harley shop. My family owned a Harley Davidson dealership here in Pennsylvania. So I know the demographic that used to camp out at the Coin Mile and used to go to Ascot. And I think that's important. Like, you want to grow and you want to look good. Like, I agree with like the team shirts, and you want to look good walking out to the starting line, and you want to have nice leathers. I like that. Is that Snorlax, dude?
It is. Yeah. Footwear, isn't it?
Hell yeah. I'm a big Pokemon guy. So I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely a balance you need to find. But overall, I thought there was a lot of things he did that were well. And I don't know exactly. It was kind of weird when he kind of left. It was like, they didn't announce it. And then they did like a year later, and then he was still coming to the races. But I've always gotten along with Michael for the most part. I think my first email, I sent him an email and he sent me one back, and he got pretty chirpy and I chirped back at him. And I think then we had a respect for each other where anytime I'd call him, he was pretty good about taking my calls. And a lot of people there now, they don't even call me back. So it's, yeah, I have a lot of respect for him and I wish him well in whatever he does. He's definitely got a lot of knowledge and some insight on things that could help different sports grow. So.
Yeah, well, that's when I started to really tune in. Actually, was when he joined the crew, and I don't know, it seemed like the coverage was a bit better, and some things were a bit more accessible, and that. And then it changed again with fan choice, and there was something else, and I was really struggling. And this is the double-edged sword, because you do want people to go to races, but for other people from that, it can be used as a strength to bringing in a global audience. But me being on the other side of the world, obviously I can't go to the track. If I was in America, I'd be at the track, dude. I wouldn't watch it on computer. I'll be there, annoying you and everyone else most likely. But it's I don't know where I was going with that. I just
that's big though too, man. Like that's something I could talk about for hours. Is the live streaming versus the fans attending at the track. I think it's hurt the sport a lot. I think as much as it helps get to other people, man, people get lazy. I mean, if it's a little bit cold, like say it's a little cold outside or it looks like it's going to rain, you live about 2 hours from the track, you have access to watch it online for $5 or something crazy. Why would you go and buy tickets when you could just sit on the couch, drink beer and watch the race, from the comfort of your home? So I think a couple of things could be looked at, maybe blacking it out or whatever, within a radius that people that live near the track, they can't see it. They do that with like NFL games around here, football. They do that for other sports. So maybe you could do that. I also think it's a conflict of interest with the promoters. Like Jared Neese, he promotes Lima. He gets ticket sales for Lima, but he doesn't get any of the Fans Choice footage, the subscriptions, where I think the promoter should get a percentage, whether it's 10%, 20%. I think it's a conflict of interest when the series, they own Fans Choice or whatever, and they're pushing for subscriptions, and then you have a promoter who's promoting a race for your series and he's trying to get people to the track, you're trying to get people to watch from home. I actually don't get it. I think it's crazy. Nobody else seems to fucking think about it at all. I'm just like, dude, this doesn't make any sense. So I think there should be a percentage of those people that watch on Fans Choice. I think the promoter should get that percentage. And that's kind of what I'm dealing with my, I promote a race in Florida called the Winter Throwdown. And I'm talking with some pretty big live streaming services, and they act like they're doing me a favor by coming and streaming my race. I'm like, dude, I'm doing you a favor by giving you my race to show and make money off of. It's like, I'm not doing this for free. I was like, if you want my race, on your platform, let's write me a check. Like, let's give me a percentage of what we do. Yeah.
And that's fair, because you're providing the entertainment. So it makes total sense. And with the American Flat Track and the promoters, that's obviously a weird one, because you're both ultimately doing the same thing, so you should be working together, not fighting against each other. So that promoter should definitely be getting the cut. That's pretty black and white in my eyes. Promoter should be getting the cut or no live streaming. American Flat Track, are they the AMA or are they like a promoter? How does that work? I've never really understood it. Like who's American Flat Track?
I don't know if I understand it. It's really weird. So the American Flat Track, they're owned. Let me see if I get this right. I should know this. They're owned by Daytona Motorsports Group, DMG. They're actually owned by NASCAR. So their offices are the AFT offices are a half mile from Daytona International Speedway. It's right outside the speedway. It's owned by NASCAR. But it's sanctioned from AMA. So somebody from the AMA gives out our number one plate. Where AMA used to run it in-house, they were called AMA Pro Racing. And now it's American Flat Track. And then Moto America is their own entity. Like they're owned by the Crave Group, which is like Wayne Rainey, Richard Varner, Chuck Axlin, Terry. Dude, it's confusing. It's yeah, I don't know. You could talk about that for a while, but yeah, it's essentially they're their own series, and a lot of the guys who run American Flat Track are they're buddies with Jim France, the guy that runs NASCAR. They've worked with him, they've done stuff with him, and have come through the pipeline on that side of it, and now they run American Flat Track.
So that's sort of why they can change the rules and that so easily without having to consult the AMA. Is that right?
Fuck, man.
Deep here,
You're reaching at me now.
Now you've really fired him up. Here we go.
You want the spice or no?
It's just weird. Like I was just going, how the fuck can it change like this sort of time and no one's sort of
hey man,
no one's responsible. I don't get it.
And shit, man, I've had this conversation privately with people, and I don't know. I don't work for AFT. I don't owe AFT anything. I don't say that in an arrogant way, but at the same time, I don't know. It's just a lot of people over there, they just don't take accountability for things that like they're not held accountable when something doesn't go right. Like if I work at like a McDonald's and I don't do a good job, if I fuck up a bunch of burgers, I'm going to get fired. You look at any sports coaches, if their numbers aren't doing well, I mean, you could win 3 championships in a row. If you have one bad year as a coach, you're getting let go. And I just feel like not just AFT, but a lot of jobs, people get too comfortable knowing that they're getting paid. Like they're getting paychecks every week. Doesn't matter how good we do, how many fans show up, how many riders are making money. They're getting paid. Like they don't have to worry about what their paychecks are coming in, where we don't have a schedule right now. And the riders, we need that to get paid. It's all good. They make their 6 figures, whatever they make. And I'm trying to help these riders with sponsorship and make money. Like it's their livelihood. Like this kid I coach, Evan Renshaw, he's the top amateur rider in the country. He literally has Briar Bauman talent. He works hard. And we have no idea what he's doing next year. I mean, I might build him a bike and take him in my van. And we just, it just doesn't seem like there's any urgency from the series sometimes. Like when you ask them a question, they're sarcastic. They just, whatever. And I promote my own races and I know how I treat my riders that come, and I'm grateful. Like I am very appreciative of the riders taking off work, taking off school. They're doing me a favor by coming and supporting my races. And I think on the other end of it, AFT, it seems like they don't have that same appreciation. If it wasn't for the riders, you wouldn't have a nice job. You wouldn't have all these nice things. And I just wish there was more appreciation for the riders and the teams from the series than what they give. And it's not everybody. I don't want people watching this that are from AFT. I'm not trying to hammer everybody there, but I'm also going to be honest because that's just how I feel. They pissed me off a couple times this year, and I'm just going to be vocal and honest about it. So yeah, it is what it is.
It's also it's a culture, and it's across all countries. I reckon it's the same here. It turns into a us versus them sort of scenario, and it's pretty shit. I don't really know if there's a soul for it or which way you would go about it. I mean, obviously having a CEO in there that has the mindset of let's work together is probably the best way to conquer a lot of the issues that happen. But generally, someone getting to that level of business won't have that mindset. He might have at the start of his career.
Yeah. I mean, the more like I work for Moto America now, and the more that I work with the crew at Moto America, Chuck and Wayne and Richard, and I see how they communicate with the teams and the riders, and it's just so different than what I've been accustomed to, where you go ask, and even me, I'm not trying to be that guy, but winning championships in their series, and I go to ask them a question and it's like I'm bothering them. Like they're sighing, they can't even handle a question, where Moto America, any rider can I mean, Chuck is always on the phone. He's always trying to be accommodating and just being grateful for the riders and the teams. I think it goes a long way. And honestly, I saw it last year with Petrucci when he came over and he did some Moto America races. He was very vocal and kind of harsh toward Moto America. And a lot of the riders went to bat for the series and they stuck up for the series against Petrucci, where in American Flat Track, you don't have any riders sticking up for the series. And I'm not saying that's right, wrong, but it's sad. Like why do we feel that way? It's
it speaks volumes. Speaks volumes, that does. I mean, we have similar issues over here. I am an importer. I bring in 19-inch DTX wheels and made my own block pattern tire and stuff. And there's other products I'm looking at. And I've sent emails to MA to ask if, we can run this sort of product and is there any rules against it? Nothing. You don't hear anything. And it's just like, fuck, how are we meant to grow shit when it's run like that? And I'm sure there's good people within the network.
Depends who you are too.
So
really
yeah.
Who you are. If Troy Bayliss reached out, they probably would hit him back. I mean, it's sad, man. It's they should treat everybody the same, whether it's Essenson and Turner Racing or just some guy in a van. They just just not
I think this does have a big effect on the results of audience and all that sort of thing as well. Promoting the shit out of motocross but ignoring dirt track, promoting the shit out of road racing, ignoring dirt track. I don't get it. But anyway, we'll move on because I'll start getting heated too. I've started a team this year, and I contacted one of my riders and said, I'm having you on the pod. Is there anything? He's one of the guys. When I messaged you, I said I wanted to do this crossover pod because there's guys in Australia that don't know who you are, which, I hope that doesn't bruise your ego too much. But, and don't follow American Flat Track and that, or the Tank Slappin Podcast. And that's what I want to do. I want to get you guys more listeners and bring the family closer together. And his question was, he doesn't understand it over here. We run front brakes back and rear, whether it's an oval or a TT or whatever. And he was asking, do you know where that no front brake rule came from? And do you think it would be safer to run front brakes like on a mile or across all the tracks? Or where did that come from? And what are your thoughts about brake?
I'd have to go back. So for people listening, Bert Sumner, he's a historian of everything flat track here in America. He's got a really cool website. It's called dairylandclassic.com. And if you go on there, he's got a timeline of every year since like 1901 of everything flat track related. And I know he's got that information on his website, but it is like an encyclopedia. It would take me hours to find it probably. So I don't know exactly.
What was it called again?
Tom will give it a crack.
Dude, you'll be on there for hours. It's dairylandclassic.com. And if you go on the website, he promotes a race called Dairyland Classic. But if you go to the history website, toward the bottom, it says like view history of flat track. If you go on there, there's a AMA timeline and it literally has information about everything. It's an incredible website.
Got it.
I don't know why or where how it started. Did bikes even have front brakes back then? I don't even know.
So does it start from 1941?
Their handlebars like used to hold them like this, and like the grip was like that. It wasn't like this. It was. I don't know. As far as would it be safer, I've made that suggestion a few times where I think it would be safer to have front brakes. Typical flat track fans back in the day, a lot of the bikes didn't have any brakes. So you have these old school guys that, racing was better when nobody had brakes. It's like, dude, relax. Like, it's so long ago, but I think it'd be better. Obviously in flat track, we don't have runoff like road racing does. There's walls everywhere. It's basically roller derby on motorcycles. So when somebody crashes, I think it would help guys slow down, avoid crashes more with a front brake. Because essentially, if somebody crashes in front of you, you lock up the rear brake, you're just doing a big old skidder into the side of them. and then you cartwheel into the wall or, into the air fence. So I think it'd be good. If guys, most of the guys in flat track, they're actually really good on their front brakes. People think because we don't use them frequently that we can't use front brakes, but we have some really good guys on the brakes. So I think it'd be good. I think it'd be safer. Just put obviously like a brake guard on so you don't bump into it in the corners and stuff. But yeah, I don't see there any reason why we couldn't.
He's gonna love that answer because in his words, he thinks it's a fucking stupid rule. No front
Yeah.
I like that.
He goes,
yeah,
it's fucking stupid. He said, if they bring that in over here, I'm quitting. He goes, so, he's pretty
That's
passionate
funny.
about it.
It would probably change riding style too. Like it'd probably make guys ride differently. I don't think.
Sure.
I still think it's faster on a mile. I mean, you barely even use your rear brake. I don't think you'd use a front brake, but I think if anything, it would keep you out of trouble more than anything. Where if somebody crashes, I think it'd be nice to have.
Yeah, and that's the angle he's coming at it from. And we constantly use drill braking for safety over here a lot. Like it does pull you up a lot quicker than just like you say a rear brake skid. Yeah, if to
we
stop
use them on
skidding,
TTs.
you got to.
Like we use them on TTs. We just don't use them on any of the ovals.
Yeah, the big stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But you guys also have tracks twice the size of ours. So we don't have mile tracks. We have half miles is probably the biggest, about 816 meter trotting tracks. But we don't have those 1600s over here. So that's the other thing. I mean, I love watching and looking around the world, but trying to figure out the miles versus kilometers does my head
and
pounds and kilos. Come on.
I'm curious, like when you guys watch it, do you like the miles? Do you like the half miles? I mean, what do you guys enjoy watching most?
So Tom is actually, I don't know if I told you, he's ridden over there. And you've done a mile, haven't you, Tom?
Yeah, didn't race, but rode a mile. Yeah, and that was it scared the shit out of me.
Where was that? Which one?
OKC and OKC Springfield, and the other one was.
Wait, you rode OKC?
Des Moines. Yeah.
Oh shit! Was there an amateur race there? Or you just rode it, or
no? I just rode it. There was I won't say the organisation because we no longer have anything to do with each other. But yeah, when I was over there at one stage, they did I wouldn't even say it was a promotional thing. They sort of got a few bikes out there and had to run around and asked if I wanted to do a few laps. So yeah, cool. I didn't do a hell of a lot, but yeah, it was unreal.
That's a fun one. That's probably one of my favorite miles because it's a cushion. So it's like we don't have many cushion miles anymore. We pretty much run like Springfield, DuQuoin, Red Mile. It's all clay, dirt. Where OKC is limestone, kind of like Lima, and it's I love that. I love that track. That's probably one of my favorite miles. So that's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was interesting when it sort of backed off to the corner how much speed you could carry through it, and I'm like, I don't have the balls to throw it in that hard. And then two guys went around me, and I went, "Yep, fuck this, I'm out." And I just pulled back into the infield and said that was cool, but I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. It's people watch it. It's hard to it's hard to really like watch it and know how fast you're going, and the hay bales are right there. I mean, you go into the mile at 140 and you get within inches of that air fence. The miles honestly give me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies, man. Because you're going so fast and something can happen. Yeah. It happens so quick. And I won a lot of miles, and my best ever finish in the big classes on miles, but I prefer more. I don't even know what I prefer. I just not miles. I prefer more like short tracks and stuff like that. But that's interesting.
So yeah, answering your question on do we like watching them? I love watching them. I watch just about every round of the EFT. Sometimes I even watch it trackside when we're racing. My favourite camera view is the one on the wall next to the start finish down the main straightaway. You sort of get a real sense of the speed. As you were saying, sort of on film, it's like when you go mountain biking or bush riding and you're going over massive obstacles and you look at your GoPro and it looks like you're riding on people, it doesn't give you the true representation of how quick they're going, but that camera angle gives you a bit more idea, I think. I've been getting into filming events, and I've got to edit the last AFTN one, it's called KELPI Live. It's sort of like a trackside version of our podcast, which you can find on our YouTube channel. And I'm slowly getting better at them. But yeah, I was watching some of that footage I took from Brisbane, and yeah, I mean, that's the advantage of being trackside. You can see how fast these guys really are going.
Well, if you stand by the wall, that's the biggest indicator. Like this year at the Coin Mile, I mean, I've raced flat track my whole life, and I was standing at the wall this year, and the riders went by, and there's a bunch of fans there. I'm like, I looked over at them, and I was like, "Fuck, they're flying!" And it is just funny because like I've done it my whole life, and then when you actually stand there, dude, there's tons of times where I'm racing with these guys, and I'm like, dude, I'm impressed. Like, I'm out there with them, and I'm like, this is cool. Like these guys are talented. Like I don't know. It's
Could you
sitting
feel
back.
the draft when you were standing next to the wall? Could you feel the draft as they went by?
I
Like
mean,
a little bit
no,
of
it's just
suction after, or not that close?
a little bit maybe, but it's just, man, how fast the guys go, and the girls and the guys, and it's crazy, man. It's really cool. I'm a fan of the sport. Like obviously I'm a racer, but I've grown up at the track. I mean, my dad was a pro racer, taking me to my first race when I was 2 weeks old. I went out to California when I was 2 weeks old. I traveled in a motorhome out. I lived the dream since I was a kid, and going to these races. I didn't watch superhero movies. My heroes were Scott Parker, Ricky Graham, Chris Carr. I mean, those guys were my heroes, and yeah, it's just I'm a fan of the sport more than I am a rider, really. I never thought I'd make it as a rider. I was always just kind of a fan of the sport. So
yeah. Also, going back to your podcast, the colourful character Bobby McLennan, you had on there quite a bit, and as he said, I think it was the last pod or the one before, that had some requests to have him back on, but he's super busy and everything. How did you meet Eric, and what made you decide to work together?
yeah, so going to Rob, that guy sucks, by the way, but
I was waiting for
I've known Rob, unfortunately. I've known him a long time. But when I decided to go singles racing in 2018, Rob was really was a huge part of that effort. He actually my son Cruz was only a few months old, and we actually lived with Rob at his house in Pensacola, and I trained with him all winter, and he built my bikes that year. And dude, he's, all jokes aside, he's done a lot for me. Like me and my wife and my son, we lived in bunk beds in his house. Dude, I mean, I was chasing the dream, like whatever it took, and we lived in bunk beds as parents at Rob's house because I wanted to train in Florida and give that effort the best go at it we could. But yeah, Rob's one of my guys. I think I've deleted him off social media probably 3 times. I've yelled at him. Like he's so frustrating. He jabs at you, but it gets to the point where it's like, fuck, does this guy like me, or are we friends still? But yeah, he's good to have on the podcast. He's obviously entertaining, but he's very challenging to get on. He's got bad ADHD. I call him. He's walking around losing service. Like there's been multiple podcasts where we're not done the interview, and he's just like, all right, I got to go. Bye. I'm like, bro, we're not done yet. And he would just hang up. So Eric Hartley is actually, I didn't like Eric when I first met him. He was kind of shit talking my podcast initially, and I didn't know him. And then we became friends. I'm trying to think how it happened, honestly. He has a little boy that races, and my son races, and I think we started vibing through our kids a little bit, and then we started talking and becoming friends, and we're actually more alike than we realized. We're both kind of the same age, the like 1990s kind of vibe, and he's very organized. He's very prepared. He takes a lot of pride in the podcast, where a lot of the other co-hosts I had. Like I've had Sammy Sabedra, who was amazing. He did a great job. I've had Rob, who is amazing as well. But Eric puts in the most effort. He like we're not making heaps of money from this podcast, but he puts in a lot of effort. He takes a lot of pride in it. And that's kind of what makes me want to keep him doing it is just how much he enjoys it and the effort he puts in. That kind of, for me, effort is big across the board, whether it's the riders I coach, people I work with, sponsors, my own son. If people give me effort, that goes a long way. I'll take effort over results any day of the week. And Eric does a really good job with the effort and he puts in. So I like having him on. Everybody has their own favorite co-host. Like people want Jake Johnson back on, or they want Sammy, or they want Robbie Bobby, or they want Eric. Like I've had people have their favorites. They probably fucking want me just out and then just have like Robbie and Eric. But
well, I'm going to confess the first Tank Slappin pod I listened to, I didn't actually like it. I'm going, I don't know if I can listen to these guys. You were fucking around a lot. You were joking. I think you had Posh on there, and I'm going, where are the stats? I want to hear about bikes, and I want to, I'm going, what is this? And then I thought, you know what, off the groove, I was listening to that. Yeah, that was pretty good. And I thought, I'm going to give this Tank Slapping another go. And I think, now I've probably listened to just about all the episodes. Sometimes it takes a little bit to grow on people and to sort of get to know that bond. I guess you form a bond like racers do with their numbers, and then you sort of can't live without it. So
it's a demographic.
I'd definitely be bummed if you guys stop the pod. Not putting pressure on you to keep doing it forever, but I think guys like yourself and me and Tom, we're needed for the sport. We're here because we love the sport. It's nothing to do with money. I've got a few sponsors which I will shout out quickly as well. Euroka Fencing, they do farm fencing around the Western Victoria region. We've got Classic Wheels and Spokes, Otway Hydro Blasting, Shred Design, they do jersey print, and they're all awesome. And obviously my own brand KELPI that brings us. Do you want to mention your sponsors as well, Corey? I know you've got some rippers.
Just Mission Foods, Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, Yamaha, Indian Motorcycle, and Jerry Stinchfield from Roof Systems keeps the pod going. And everybody that listens, man, it's been a journey. Like you mentioned the Posh episode, and dude, we used to just, like, me and Jake, when we started, we used to just drink beers and we'd get hammered, dude. Like our early shows, it was a shit show. Like we would be hammered. And I kind of got away from that a little bit where, and then we had I just had all my buddies call in, and I don't know, some people love it and some people, they miss those shenanigans. Like my buddy Noah used to call in all the time, Noah Chambers, and they miss the shenanigans. And some people like the vibe of like Off the Groove or whatever. And that's totally fine but for me, at the end of the day, it's my podcast. I'm going to do what the fuck I want. And
that's right. And that's
I'm not having fun with it.
Yeah.
I'll just stop doing it. I'm not going to conform. People are like, your pod. I got a bad review on iTunes because they said I cursed. The pod would be better, but you curse. It's like, well, dude, don't listen to it going to church in the morning. Like it's I don't know to say, but I appreciate it, man. It's been a journey. We've had a lot of co-hosts. We've done so much different stuff with the pod, trying to find what works best for our audience. And now we just started that Patreon account where twice a month we're going to go over topics, kind of how to topics within the sport. Like the first one we just did was all about social media and being a racer. And, on this interview, you've heard me mention social media a lot. And I go into depth on social media and how to grow your brand. And we're going to do topics on tires and wheel widths and suspension and, pretty much for like a average fan to find info on that stuff, there's not a lot out there. And we're still going to do our interview pods and our rewind shows, but we're branching off a little bit on that, where I didn't want to give away free information. So it's you subscribe $10 a month. I don't know what that is in Australia money, but it's pretty cheap
$17,
here.
I think it is. I've already looked it up.
Yeah. it's like breakfast and coffee for one day, and you get information that could help you for the rest of your career, or just interesting info like from the fans. So we're always trying to grow and do things better, whatever that entails. And sometimes we do things worse, but we're always trying to be better. So
I disagree with that. You can't do things worse. I mean, yeah, it might not take quite as well as something else, but if you're not trying, then you're not moving forward. So if you're not trying different stuff, punching out different types of pods and different styles, and like I wasn't totally against those old style ones where you're on the terps and that. Yeah, they were cracker.
They were classic.
It just took me a little bit to gel to it. That's all, because I was sort of expecting probably a bit more of an off the groove sort of vibe to a flat track.
Well, my personality, like on the podium, is so different. Where that's the time and place to be a professional is on the podium, or things like that. And the time for me to be myself is on the podcast. You kind of get more of my personality through the podcast. And honestly, there's some interviews I do where I'm not myself. When I interviewed Kenny Roberts, guys, Kevin Schwantz, Wayne Rainey. I mean, I don't say the F word as much just because I'm trying to be respectful of our guests. But I think those rewind shows with like Robbie Bobby and Eric, and the show we're doing tomorrow with Chad Coast. Chad's one of my best friends, so that's going to be a very fun show. And it's actually more awkward when you interview your friends. Like I had when I interview Shayna, it's so weird. It's like hey, how are you? It's like you don't want. I literally just. Yeah,
so you're saying your sister's your friend? I mean, that's even closer because she's family. I don't think I could do a pod with my brother. But first, we'd punch each other.
It's weird. It's definitely weird.
We'd be probably rolling around on the floor fighting. But
can I throw you under the bus for a second, Darcy?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
What is your favorite or most memorable Tank Slappin Pod episode?
Oh yeah. Can I start with some frustrating one?
Yep.
So like I get really frustrated when the Aussie riders come on and they hardly talk about home racing at home. Like, I know they're racing in America, but give your country a plug. If you guys are listening, Max and Tom, we've got awesome racing over here. Give it a plug. As far as memorable one, I don't know. There's actually heaps that I've taken a lot out of and really enjoyed. I'm really bad. I'm really bad with. It's like ask me band names and stuff. I'm shit with names. I forget names, and it's a Bert Sumner's that does the Dairyland Classic. Yeah, is that who does the Dairyland? Bert Sumner's.
Yeah,
is
Bert,
that? Yeah, that was heaps of information. Some of the old school guys, I do like listening to the history side of the sport and getting their opinion of.
So if you started listening to the Brandon Posh one, did you listen to my first one with him or my second one, like the video one, or was it the first one?
It was one where you rung him up and he was in a bar. Have I got the right?
Okay, yeah. So that was the first one I ever produced by myself. That was like when I kind of went out and started doing it on my own. That was like the first one I ever did. So you actually missed. Like we used to only do interview shows. And a lot of my really good interview ones were really early on in like our tenure, so to speak. So, did you ever listen to the Kenny Roberts one or any of those ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kenny Roberts.
Because some of the old ones are Dave Despain was one of, because I get people ask me all the time, who is your favorite interview that you've had on? And some of them are like episode 11 because we have 156 episodes. I'm looking now. Some of my favorite episodes were like some of our early shows. I actually had Michael Locke on episode 10. That was right when COVID kind of happened. We had him on.
Yeah.
And then we had
I actually did enjoy that one because that's something you don't see that often too, is like a CEO or the head of anything coming on and having a word. I sort of thought that was good.
Yeah, that was a good one for sure. Max, when I had him on, he was episode 25. He was the first singles rider I had on my show. Prior to Max, I never had a singles rider. And honestly, I think the only two singles riders I've had on the show are fucking Australians. Like I think I've only ever had, well, I've had Shayna on, but I think I just had Max and Tom. Like I've had Cody on. I couldn't find anybody. I had to call Cody. He was like my last resort that day. But I've had Sykes on.
You've had Dallas as well, which technically was singles at one stage, wasn't he? So
I've had Dallas. The one I did with Dallas, actually, he actually sat next to me. We did it in Florida. I was trying something new where I had him sit next to me and we did it in the same room. I did that with Jared Vanderkoy as well, where he sat next to me. But I had a stretch of 4 where it was Kenny Roberts Jr., Doug Chandler, Randy Goss, Travis Pastrana, John Kaczynski. So I had like 4 MotoGP riders, Pastrana and Randy Goss all in a row. Like it's like after that, I'm like, well, I guess I'm done because I don't know how I'm going to top that. So and then after Kaczynski, I had Andrew Butler, he's like my friend, but he's Cody Kopp's mechanic. At the time, he was Max's mechanic. But yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool to go back here and look at these just to see all the people. Like I forget I had Danny on. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking that's the best way to answer that question, really. The Tommy, do you pronounce it Dama or Duma?
Oh, Duma. Yeah, that was a fun one. Tommy Duma.
Yeah, that's a good one. And learning, how many road races started on dirt track and that as well. I always like hearing about that. It always makes me cry to hear a dirt track went to road racing, but
a really good one. If you a really underrated show, one of my top 5 favorites that most people wouldn't click is Greg Sassman. He was a factory Harley rider. He won a national. It was like his rookie year or something. Highly like big prospect in like the mid 70s, and he like quit racing and he worked at his Harley dealership. He became a musician. I actually grew up with his 2 sons. That's a really good interview. It's episode 64. Cool. It's a really underrated one. Greg Sassman. That one's a good one for sure.
Hey, you just said something there that buzzed my attention. Musicianship. What the hell is it with races and being musicians? Like so many races I know have been in bands or
must be an Australian thing. Yeah, I don't know any.
Oh, really? Right.
These fucking guys can't do anything but ride dirt bikes, man. They literally they can't kick a soccer ball. Like they're the most unathletic. They can barely walk in a straight line, and they go 140 mile an hour around. Good thing they're good at racing because they can't do anything else. So
right. So that's not okay. It's not a common thing over there.
Not at all. Yeah, I don't know anybody really. Wow. I don't know anybody.
Okay,
I'm trying to think if anybody has any other talents. I'm trying to think. Like
beer drinking.
Jesse Janish can juggle. Jesse Janish is pretty good. He can juggle. He can I think he can ride a unicycle and juggle, which is cool. But I'm really good at Pokemon
because he's
very good at Pokemon. Yeah. Pokemon. I'm very good at Pokemon.
I've never understood Pokemon, man. I don't get it. I'm glad you've got a passion. But I can't relate to that.
Yeah, Jared Meese, he's not good at spelling. I guess he was a decent wrestler in high school. I don't know, man.
I've seen some wrestling videos of him, and it's pretty impressive.
He's all right.
We don't. Well, I've never, especially in New Zealand, wrestling like that isn't a thing. Sort of boxing, rugby,
jiu-jitsu and stuff. Probably bigger.
You're talking about Jason from fucking always going on about Gypsy
Tales. Yeah, it'll be something random, and it'll just be like, "Hey, mate, you ever done jiu-jitsu?" It's like every show.
It blew my mind. I was listening to him and Ty Wooford, the Speedway rider, and they're talking shit. And next minute they're talking about magic mushrooms. And it was like 30 minutes about being
I
wasted.
know.
Okay.
I like
that's
his
pretty
show,
loose.
but
That's loose.
it's it's a loose program for sure. I tried to listen to he just had Ryan Hughes on his show, and it's the second time he had him on, and the first time it was pretty good. It was like all about like moto and stuff, and this next one he just put out yesterday, it was like he was giving out like life advice and not wedding, like marriage tips, and it was fucking off the wall. I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is not what I signed up for. But I actually reached out to Jace, and I told him at the time, I was like, hey man, you should get Max Whale on your show. He's from Australia and he just got second in the points. And he said, yeah, dude, I'd like to have him on at some point. And then he came on the show, I think like last year. So it was cool. It was cool that Max got into a little bit of mainstream media there. And Jared Meese has been on the Pulp show, the Pulp MX show. And it's good whenever these guys, Shayna's been on Jay Leno, and it's cool to get
right.
mainstream media a little bit. Yeah, for sure. So that was cool.
So what was she doing on Jay Leno? Was it all about flat track or?
Yeah, they actually went to an American Super Camp with Danny Walker and Shayna. They brought Shayna in to teach him how to ride and ride with him. And yeah, she was on Jay Leno with I think it was Jay's Garage. I forget what his show is, but yeah, that was pretty cool, man. That was she's had a lot of really cool opportunities with different things. She could have, if she cared, she probably could have done a lot more, but she doesn't care about that stuff. She just doesn't care. She just wants to ride. So
it's funny. I say any opportunities that come along, I say yes, whether I'm shitting my pants or not. I just go, you know, if you get an offer, I mean, that's why Tom's sitting there. He didn't want to do his pod, and we slowly coaxed him into it, and now he's co-hosting. So I mean, you know, when you say yes, shit happens. I was actually I've got 3 daughters. If you didn't know, Corey, they're all getting older now. One's 24, one's 20, and one's 15. And we were at the 15-year-old just did a leadership program through one of our local, well, actually they're quite a big footy club, Western Bulldogs footy club. Our town, rural city mayor was there and was saying a speech and saying, because it was all about leadership, and was saying, you know, just remember, just say yes, because the people that say no very rarely will get a second chance or a second opportunity. And I think that's
Have you ever seen that movie with Jim Carrey, Yes Man?
Yeah.
I'm not a big Jim Carrey fan. I don't know about you.
What is wrong with you?
Yes,
must
man.
be Kiwi thing.
I love Jim Carrey.
Look, I'm not against him. There's actually some interviews I really enjoyed. I like watching his interviews more than his films for some reason, which is weird.
Man. Ace Ventura is like,
he's the best.
Like
the
best movie ever, dude. Yeah.
I do like it's probably one of the tamer ones, but I do like the Truman Show. I do enjoy that one.
Yeah. That one's probably my least favorite, but
it's tamer because me and my wife have got this thing about sort of toilet humor and stuff, and you know, a lot of American films, and I'm not meaning to be offensive to the American culture, but there's a lot of the comedy can be a little bit over the top in my mind, you know, like with diarrhea and vomiting and stuff like that. I'm not quite into that.
Like Jackass? Like
you don't like Jackass?
Nah,
those guys,
they
grew up
I
like
watched it and I'm just
20 minutes from me.
Right.
They grew up right near me. So
right.
Man, that's crazy. You got 3 daughters. I have a son, man. I can't imagine having 3 and then 3 girls. That's like, shoo, that sounds stressful, man. Is that why all your hair's going on right here?
Yeah, good call. Yeah. What's it taken an hour and what has it been, an hour and a half, and he started the hair jokes. Pretty good.
I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah. Just wait until I come over for a visit, and we'll start on the short and tall joke.
Hey, I expect it, man. I'll get you a case of beer for that one. Yeah, that was.
We'll have to give it the time. I'm a bit of a pussy, mate. I don't drink, and I'm a weirdo. I don't drink.
All right, we'll do coffee then. I know you guys drink coffee over there.
Coffee, yeah, love.
No, I can't stand coffee.
What, really?
If I had coffee, my head would blow off my shoulders. I'd be that.
No shit.
No way in the world. I drink enough of these. if it's gonna show up.
Yeah,
What is
probably
that?
see
Not.
It's what's behind them. Send it energy.
Oh
drink.
yeah, there you go.
Oh, energy
It's
drinks.
an
Yeah, I
energy
can't
drink.
do
It's
that.
an
I
it's
can't do
Australian
that.
made energy drink. If it's there you go.
Oh, send it. I
Yeah,
see it.
that's
That's cool.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
not
They
got
sponsor.
it's not got caffeine in it, which is weird.
No,
Yeah, I don't know,
like
man.
for
I
it.
can't. If I have a Red Bull, I mean, it's worse for me than if I have like 8 beers. Like I can't.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
it ruins.
You know,
ruins.
because it's funny you talk about me's and not spelling. I've always had a bit of a learning problem and stuff, and like I can do stuff, but yeah, reading's actually real good now as I've gotten older. I've worked on it, but spelling's still terrible. It just doesn't click. I
No,
don't know
there is
why.
caffeine in it. Trust me, there's caffeine in
Oh,
it.
there is, yeah.
Mm.
But one thing that's always set me off, whether I've been, because I've never been labelled, I'm a '70s kid, so labels weren't a thing then. But one thing that's always set me off, McDonald's thick shake. It's like speed or something.
Yeah, right.
I go off the rocker. So I had quite a few of them on that 35-hour trip to Brisbane.
Oh no, I
That's
stay
how
away
far
from.
it takes you.
I
It
stay
takes
away
you
from
that far
dairy
to
like the
drive
plague.
across your country.
So the AFTN, the last two rounds, round 3 and 4, were in Brisbane, and I'm in Victoria. So, and that's Queensland. And yeah, it should have taken me 20 hours, Corey, but I blew my coolant bottle in half in my van and had to wait for another car and yeah, switch everything
Yeah.
over, and yeah, so it blew the trip out. But yeah, it was a big one. And yeah,
I always forget how big Australia is actually. Like it actually pretty big.
It's a big country.
It's kind of
yeah.
it's kind of crazy when Max came over here, like the first year, we were like running in the woods, we were training, and there was a squirrel, and he like got so excited about a squirrel. I'm like, bro, they're literally everywhere. He's like, I never seen a squirrel. I'm like, yeah, man, they're basically everywhere. So
Yeah.
it was kind of cool. I actually I really I like when the Aussies come over, like Max and his dad. I love Brett. Like he's so funny. I could talk to Brett. Brett's so much cooler than Max. Like I talk to Brett all the time. and then Drain, Big Drain, dude, I love that guy. He's so funny.
Yeah, I
just
watch a
love
lot of his posts.
I love their sense of humor,
Facebook
man.
Live.
Like, yeah, they just they fit my style people. I enjoy talking to them when they come over. I feel like I would fit in pretty well over there. Just the people I've met from Australia, they're super, super cool, man. It's my style people. So I'm a fan, dude. I'm a fan.
You know, and that's why I reached out and I wanted to do this cross pod. I don't want any of our audiences to be confused. This is not an interview of one or the other of us. This is two pods getting together, chatting about the sport we love and sharing a bit of the stories from different countries. So you can see that really it's not that different which country, and flat track racing's flat track racing, and we all love doing it. And there's so many similarities. I listen to your pod, and you know, apart from we don't tend to have the big haulers, but we do have dudes traveling around in the back of their vans. I'm one of them, and this weekend we're going to the Aussie Dirt Track Titles, which is a 4-hour drive for me, and my van's blown up, so I'm taking the missus' car. Tom was asking me today where I'm staying. I said, oh, we don't actually know yet. I haven't booked anything. It's probably going to be in a swag, which is sort of like a rolled up tent with a mattress in it, which you unroll and just jump in. So yeah, me and my middle daughter are going to go, and yeah, we're just winging it, man. And I'm one of the sponsors. So the way I've got food sorted out is I've got some VIP pass at the club that's hosting it, and that's going to be our food. So I hope it's good.
That's
I hope you got a
awesome.
spare one for me.
Yeah, well, you'll be in the pits, so
That's right.
You'll be racing. So
hopefully on the track.
I don't know if Tom explained when I went out for that league earlier, but he's a sidecar rider. Do you know much about the dirt track sidecars, Corey?
No, I mean, sounds pretty fun. I watch it. I watch. So are you in the sidecar or do you drive the sidecar?
No, this one I'm in the sidecar. I'm hanging off the side of it.
Yeah, I think that shit's so fun, like to watch. Me and Chad, I would always send videos of that to Chad, and I'd be like, dude, we would kick ass at this. I just think it'd be fun to do. That's crazy. It's scary for sure. I don't know.
Oh, it's unreal. The motor we've got in ours is a cross-plane R1, so pretty much the same style, convention style engine as a superbike. And and it's just the noise that comes out of that thing. And you're pretty much sitting behind the rider as you leave the gates. And then you've got to get off the back onto the side for turn one. And you've got to be in cahoots with the rider to know when he's going to turn into the corner or brake or not brake and just turn in and give it shit. You pretty much got to be in cahoots with the rider, but it's nothing like I've ever done before. It's fucking insane, to be honest.
Yeah, that's sick. I love watching it because we don't have that over here. It cracks me up, man. I love watching that whole side of racing with the sidecars. Because when I was younger, my family owned a Harley dealership, and my dad, we had a sidecar Harley, and me and Shayna would sit in the sidecar and my dad would drive the Harley around. So
awesome.
A little bit different than racing one, but I think if you had sidecar racing over here, like if we did an exhibition with like the AFT riders, I think it'd be so much fun. It'd be carnage, but just picking who would drive and who would sit in the car. I mean, it'd be pretty funny. I think we should try to make that happen.
Well, it's pretty easy to figure that out. You have one guy ride and the other guy swing, and then do 5 laps, and then swap over and do 5 laps, and whoever's the fastest rider gets to ride, and the other one gets to swing. But we didn't decide that. Jobbo spent a lot of money on building this bike, and it's his baby. So I thought I'll hang off the side of it and let you have a bit of fun. But I reckon I have more fun than he does.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll have to look up some videos now once I'm here.
I'll just word you up on that. The swinger or the passenger, they sort of moved away from being called swingers a bit. Maybe because of the sexual references.
I thought they were called like monkey. Isn't it called a monkey? Is that what it's called?
Oh, mate, there's probably about 50,000 definitions, but yeah, that's one of them.
Because they do it in England too, right? Like I think I've seen it in Europe too, where they do it. Like it's kind of popular.
Yeah, they do it on grass track, but I'm pretty sure they go the opposite way. But I think they might have some left-hand,
a little bit more speedway rules.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, we don't have anything like that.
If you've ever jump on YouTube and check out there is European series in the FIM motocross sidecar cross. That's it. That's just crazy. That's crazy. That blows my mind.
I'll look it up.
What those dudes do. It's mad as. But what I was going to say is that the passenger, they're disposable. I don't know. I don't know. They tend to get pretty banged up, and then another one just jumps on. I don't know what's wrong with these guys.
You just hold on. If another bike comes up the inside and starts to push the passenger, well, you just put your head on their brake lever and off you go. But you just
special breed. You dudes are crazy. Like, I've seen a passenger get wiped out and taken away in an ambulance, and the rider turns around and goes, "Oh, will anyone jump on?" Another dude will just jump on, and it's like, you just seen that dude get pulled away in the ambulance.
That's crazy.
You're jumping on. You guys are nuts. I like the 2 wheels.
The Aussies are built different, dude. They're built different. I say that all the time when these kids come over here. You can see it in the way they act, and yeah, man, it's a cool culture. I love it.
I've got some good footage from the AFTN in Brisbane of guys banging off the wall. So I'm going to put some of that up. So keep an eye out for that, Corey. It's using the wall is such a good sensation. Like when you get it right, it's fantastic. This track we're racing at this weekend, there's going to be a lot of it because basically turn 1, which ends up coming off when you're coming off the straight. That's your first corner. But we use start gates here, so it's a bit hard to explain just in a minute. But yeah, you just full on sideways into the wall and then on the gas and use the wall to shoot you off to turn 2.
Do you want to bring up an overhead view of the track just to give Corey half an idea of what we're riding on?
Do you want to? Because you're a lot quicker at it than I am. We're going to sit here.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Are Max and Drain and all those guys running, or
I didn't see their names. I know
they're not on the entry list.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like Kirkness, if he does it still, or any of those guys.
Well, Kirkness is the points leader of the AFTN, which is the 19-inch series. So he's leading that at the moment. Daniel Wicks is very close second. I haven't got the points in front of me, but it's pretty close.
Do I go on the Albury page? Sorry, Darcy, Facebook page.
Yeah.
Or
you could try that.
Yeah.
The other thing we have here that you guys don't have, I believe you used to though, is oil track. That's where the last 2 rounds of the AFTN is on an oil track.
Yeah, we don't have oil tracks anymore. It was popular back in the day, but now Just America, dude. It's like it's hurting the environment or some shit, like they don't,
That's the same here.
it's
Yeah,
weird.
that's why
Like,
oil tracks are getting shut down.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
blame
them have
Biden.
been
Got
closed
Biden
down.
as our president. A lot of shit's changed, dude. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them
he
have
doesn't
been
even know he's
closed
the
down.
president, dude. He doesn't even know. He don't even know. He just
I
forgets.
don't think he knows if he's awake or not.
Yeah, he has no idea. So
Hold on. This isn't a political podcast, dudes.
no, I
we're
know.
just arguing,
Let's not stray.
Rob always chimes in political like shit on mine. I'm like, take her easy, bud. Take it easy.
All right, I've got
Have you found it?
one photo. Oh, didn't you? Where are you?
Do I need to do anything so you can share it, or is
Yeah,
it all
you've
good?
got to turn
Oh,
the
there you go.
screen share disabling off.
Try that.
Oh shit! See,
Oh, here you go. You see that, Corey?
Yep.
so that obviously there's the straight. You've got that area there on the right is a start gate. So in this configuration is called dirt track, which has got a right hander, and then we also race another configuration which is called long track, which is pretty much just with cut out without the right hander. But this track here, you come out of the gates, you've got turn one, you pretty much bounce off the wall somewhere along there to try and gain more drive for say turn two, and then you've obviously follow around through here. And then you've got the right hander. Mind you, it's not always full of water. I think this might have been after when they had major flooding
I
I
around
was
was
the
gonna
gonna
say,
area.
is
But it's
that
not.
water?
It's not.
It's flooded.
We don't do half track on a bike and half track on a jet ski. It's just it was just flooding. But yeah, then you come around and see the right hander, and then into the last sweeper here,
Pretty
and
big track.
back down. Yeah, I think it's a smaller track than we sort of normally go to, as far as I can
About
remember.
16, I think.
Almost...
I think it's about 610
okay,
meters.
so it's still a fairly decent sized track, but yeah, that's with the Australian dirt track titles will be held this weekend.
That's cool.
So that first corner where Tom was pointing before with his cursor, you bounce off the wall there, but then about the middle of those trees there, so turn two, come along to your left, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's turn two. And in there, a lot of riders will hit the wall there as well and fling themselves through the right hand. So they'll go sort of in towards the infield of that oval there, which is they also run a short track series and speedway on that track. But
that's cool, man. That's a cool facility for sure.
Yeah, most of our tracks are similar to that. They have tracks within tracks, so they can run multiple disciplines, speedway.
Yeah, that's cool. It's really cool.
Is that all you wanted to see, Darcy?
Yeah, I think that. Or you can show Gunnedah as well if you want.
Yep. Go there. Where am I here? I've got screens on screens. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here.
But yeah, I've seen a few posts with enthusiasts and riders over there freaking out about the distortion of the trials tire. Perfectly normal, no broken spokes, there's nothing going on. That's perfectly normal.
Yeah, I saw the first one I saw was Jack Miller when he posted a picture, and I didn't know it was common. That was the first time I saw it. I was like, wow, his tire's fucked up, but it's common.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's you don't feel it at all. Yeah, you don't feel it at all. Yeah, I could see that. What did you do then?
I clicked photos just as that popped up. I've got to go back down.
Yeah, so you don't even feel that flex. It's actually when you get in the most traction normally. Yeah, so this is where the last two rounds of the AFTN, which is on 1919, is going to be. It's an oil track. It looks.
Where's that at? Is that Tari? Is that what they call it or no?
No, that's Gunnedah.
Okay, I never heard of that. That's sick.
No, so it was meant to be. It was meant to be at Tari, but they're having some licensing issues. So
I know a lot of people. I mean, Jake and Meese and I think Wiles went over and Halbert. They all went over there and did Troy's race. Yeah.
So this track here,
I'd like to do it. I'd like to do a oil track. That looks really cool.
You'd have to get.
Well, this one's here. It's it's got heaps of configurations. But
I can
do you
take
believe
boat,
me that
right?
I listen to your pods now? Or?
That's
dude,
right. Yeah, you're not a big fan of flying.
I haven't been on a plane in like 20 years, so I drive everywhere. But like I said, I was gonna do that FIM stuff this year, so I was gonna fly. But Australia,
what's the cause of the plane phobia? Do you know? Is it a phobia, or you just don't like the feeling? Or
I used to fly all the time when I was younger with my dad and stuff for like the Harley meetings and stuff, but I don't like heights, and I just don't like being like I'm not in control of something in the air. One of my really good friends is actually a pilot for United Airlines, which is one of the biggest airlines here in America, and he's literally like I hang out with him a couple times a week, and he's a pilot. But I just not into it, man. I mean, I'm gonna have to start flying here sooner than later. So, but I don't think Australia would be my first trip. That's like 30-hour plane ride. So I'll probably
It's not
go.
that much.
It's pretty far, isn't it? It's still like 20 hours.
LA to Sydney's 14.
That's far. That's like that's a whole day in a plane.
Trust me, it's not
And
fun.
I have to get to LA. Like it takes me 6 hours to get to LA, at least.
He's
6
not
hour
coming
plane
to
ride.
Sydney anyway, Tom. He's coming to Melbourne, so then he can come and stay in our cottage and cut laps in the backyard.
Oh, so like cold and windy. Why wouldn't you come to Sydney where it's nice and warm?
Yeah, I'd like to at some point I'll come over and I'd like to ride and check it out. But I'd like to go to Europe first. Like I want to go to Spain. I want to go to some of those tracks over there. I might be going to Spain actually in a month. I might go over to Valencia for the MotoGP race.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Depending, yeah. So maybe I'll be getting on a plane here soon. We'll see.
So something you don't talk about very often on the pod is your wife Amber. I mean, you mentioned her, but what are her thoughts about the racing and the lifestyle? Like, she's obviously supportive because you're still together. But does she does she dig it, or does she, like my wife? She used to really dig it, and then the last time I got her, things changed a bit, and now she doesn't want to come and all that sort of stuff. How does she go? Would she mind us talking about that angle? Or
No, that's fine. Yeah, she likes to be behind the scenes a little bit. She doesn't like getting interviewed. She doesn't like really she's more shy, which kind of balances our relationship out a little bit. But I've been with her for 17 years now, 2006. So yeah,
I can edit this bit out for you, so that if she hears the pod, you're bang on the money. We'll make it look
whatever.
good,
Yeah. No, we've been together a long time, so yeah, she doesn't really care. I mean, whatever I think is best. She kind of just goes with the flow. She's real supportive, but she's not bummed that I'm not racing anymore, obviously, because it takes that risk off the table. I mean, it's stressful for me just watching my friends go out there and when the season is over, it's just a sigh of relief. Like, all right, well, nobody got hurt. Nobody, it's one of those things in our sport. It's brutal. It's a brutal sport. The risk to reward, it doesn't make any sense at all, but it's something that draws us in and week out. But no, she's supportive. She was the only one I talked to when I told her I was going to retire. I didn't even tell my mom or anybody. I just kind of made the announcement. And it kind of shocked everybody. But yeah, she's been a big supporter. She was so basically, for reference, I started dating her when I turned pro, like my first year as a pro. So she was kind of along for the whole journey and seeing the peaks and valleys. We used to sleep in my van. We used to, eat cereal for dinner. We didn't have any money. We've come a long journey where she's been right there with me, and now we're lucky enough, and I'm grateful for where racing has taken us now. But yeah, she's gritted it out right in that van with me, where we've slept in the van, we've slept in the front seat because we didn't have money for hotels. People see me now and they see Shayna, but they don't. A lot of the fans haven't seen the journey a lot have seen the journey, but some haven't seen the journey it's taken us. It's not like we just this happened like overnight. This has been an effort, and Amber's been a big part of that.
It's a common occurrence. People just judging on the end result, and I wanted to give her a mention too, because so many people don't realise, to be successful, there's always more than one person. You never really do it on your own. Obviously, you got to put in the work on the bike and all that sort of thing. But without her, I'm sure there's a lot of times that it would have been a damn sight harder. So and when you were saying eating cereal and sleeping in bunks, and that shows commit to you. And I think it's pretty admirable that she's hung around. And it's like you say, there's a lot of risk without reward in the sport, and that's sort of why I do push what I'm pushing over here about the money side for riders, and it's not just to recoup, but also to show that. And you're right, the riders do have to earn it. That you shouldn't get anything for free, and it's worthless if you do anyway, because that's the part of earning is the working, So
well, that's like why I think I forget who mentioned it. It might have been Tom, but my the first championship I won in 2019, it was so emotional just because of the journey. Like, I mean, I didn't even race for 3 years because we didn't have any money for me to race, and it was right after my dad passed away, and I was kind of giving like all this like sponsorship money we could get. Like, I was going to Shayna just so she could race. So I mean, I probably retired like 3 or 4 times. I never thought I'd even win a race like that again. And then to be a champion, it was I never thought that would happen. And then as I got closer, I wasn't gonna not let it happen. So yeah, I think the more struggles you have, you learn to appreciate it more. Me and Cody, we joke back and forth. He has 2 championships already, and he's just got out of high school. And I won my first title when I was in my 30s. So it's I think that the struggles, it definitely makes you appreciate it more. And but then again, like even like the second title I won in 2021, it was just a different feeling where I won by a lot more that year. I clinched it. I won 2 races out of Sacramento. And I remember driving back in the van. I was just like sitting in the back seat with my number 1 plate. And I just was like, it was the opposite. I was like, this is it. This is what I worked all year for, this plate. Like, it's not like, and that was like, that made me think more about life a lot. It's like, man, there's more to life than racing. Like, it's important. You want to have goals. You want to chase after your dreams. But at the end of the day, I started doing better as a racer when I was happy with life away from the track. It's like, okay, racing's what I do. It's not who I am. So it's that you got to have a good balance too. Put the effort in, but at the same time, I'm Corey Texter, the person. I'm not just a racer. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, there's so many different avenues we can go down, and could talk for hours and hours. We've already had you for 2 hours, I think it is now. So we might start winding it down. It's gone really good. I'm glad that you accepted my offer and of joining pods together and having a chat. Hopefully it's just created a bridge to more opportunities for all parties involved and listeners, to have a look at the Australian scene and Australian listeners. And we're actually across, had a look at the analytics the other day. We've got a few more countries on board now. I think we're up to about 14 or 16 or something. So
awesome.
Yeah, if you go through some of our older pods, you'll see I spoke to the guys in New Zealand. Flat track's really booming in New Zealand. They are no front brakes, rear brake only, 19s only. One of their biggest race events in the country, the Burt Munro Challenge. If everyone knows the story of Burt Munro, the world's fastest Indian, they have a week's worth of racing celebrating him. And now 2024 will be the first year they're having a flat track class. So that's massive. I really want to go. I think my van blowing up's probably undone that, but we'll see. I'm not riding it off yet. Tom might be there too. We'll see. Yeah, but we talked to them. They're all really passionate about the sport. I've spoken to the Dutch Flat Track who run a series in the Netherlands. They're awesome. They're really supporting the sport and having riders from the FIM series come and be special guests and all that sort of stuff. Got the DTRA in the UK that are really banging it as well. I mean, it's just huge. In Spain sort of, I haven't seen it. It's hard to find stuff about what's going on there. I believe there's still plenty of racing happening. But yeah, I think, like you said, with the 17s and that, it's a bit weird. I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah,
but it's just huge.
It's hard for me to follow everything. Like I do know the Aussie scene probably the best just because of my relationship with Max and then and Tom as well. But to be honest, man, I watched the FIM stuff and I might have only heard of 3 or 4 of those guys. I was kind of hoping Sammy would go over and he would get beat. But I wanted him to get beat heads up. And I feel like he only really got beat because of like the disqualification stuff. But
yeah.
But I mean, honestly, him getting beat, it kind of makes me want to go over there next year, or go over in the future, because I'd like to just go over there and try to conquer that, go over and play by their rules. It's kind of crazy when you go to, because I just raced in Canada. When you go to the other riders' country, they seem to ride way better in their own country than, I mean, obviously, than they do. Like when the Canadian guys come down to America, they're good, but they're not as good as they are in Canada. The guys in Europe, like the guy he's like winning over in Europe, he came over and did Daytona this year, and he didn't even qualify for the show. Like he didn't even qualify top 40. So doesn't mean he's not a good rider. It's just different, like just that competition level. So I follow it quite a bit. It's cool that what you guys are doing. And one of these days, maybe I'll make it over to Australia.
No, you'll get over here. Don't worry. We've got a bike and everything ready to go. You got no excuses.
Yeah, plenty of bikes. They might not be gnarly, but they'll be enough shits and giggles.
I know you guys have fun, man. I know you guys have fun for sure. I see all that stuff, man, and I'd like to see like the kangaroos running around and shit. And I just think Australia is a cool place, and obviously what you guys are doing in motorcycling, from the Jet Lawrence and the Jack Miller and Tom Drain, Casey Stoner, and just dude, there's so many good Aussie riders. Troy Herfross, dude, there's so many guys that are so underrated. Kirkness, it's actually great.
Throw Wixie in there too. Daniel Wicks is awesome. We watched him up at Brisbane, and man, he just must have felt comfortable. And like you've talked about a lot of time, that's the best racing, when you're feeling comfortable, and he was killing it. But he's a good
guy.
Guns.
I like him too. He's Wicks he's a cool guy. I like him.
We've got some young guns as well. Tyson Wheel, who's current Australian, was it track champion. He's been gunning for that for a while. Billy Van Erd, Reed Beatty, they're all hungry, mate. They're all
they're also good riders. Jared Brook. I mean, even the kids that come over, none of them are slow. Like there wasn't one kid who came over here that was like slow. They all ride really well. But I was like I said, I was really impressed.
There was one.
Was there?
Yeah, me.
You didn't go in there. You Wally.
No. I mean, I was really, really impressed with that Bodie Page. He stood out to me. He has a huge personality. He's really funny. That's going to take him far. And just his ability, like he stuck right with my guy Evan Renshaw on I think it was the short track. He like stuck right with him. And Evan is going to win. He's going to win pro races next year. Evan Renshaw is. And for Bodie to stick with him, I was very impressed with that kid. So I'm hoping he can make it over here. I offered to help train him a little bit next year. So hopefully we can get him over and we can train him a little bit.
Yeah, with that going to different countries statement before, I think obviously as a racer, we know how psychological racing is. It's a lot more psychological than people think. And I think, for guys coming to America is really, I think, from most of the outside countries outside of America, is the mecca of flat track. So building storylines up in their own head would be next to impossible not to do that, I think. And coming over to a country, and I reckon some of those guys have probably psyched themselves out before they're even on the bike. I
don't know, man. They're making it look easy. I mean, I didn't think Tom would. I didn't think Tom would be as good as he was this year. Like I thought he would win maybe 2 or 3 races. But I thought his bad races he would have more like 9 through 11 finishes. Like I didn't think he would be as consistent as he was. And dude, I mean, it's hard to pick anybody as a favorite over Cody for next year. Like I think Cody's still the guy, but Tom he's gonna give him fits all year. And I wouldn't have predicted that going into this. Like I didn't think he would give Cody a run, and I think he's the guy. Like if I'm Cody Kopp, I'm looking at Tom Drain next year, dude. Like he's on really good bikes, and dude, I was very, very impressed with his ability to adapt. I still think he can he could gain a little bit of weight. Like I still think he could put on like 8 to 10 pounds of muscle and it would help him even more. But dude, he's the real deal. Like I'm very impressed with him. And yeah, I mean he's gonna be the guy next year that Cody needs to look at, I think.
Yeah, I was impressed with Tom too. We've watched him here quite a bit, and yeah, he's always impressive and on the money and up the front. But that sort of makes me think, how skilled a pool of riders we have here, because he's not winning by half a lap. Like there's guys that are got his pace, and
Yeah, have guys like that Jared Brook. He comes over and he does well, but I know Jared. I've heard Jared like he's really good over in Australia. Like he wins a lot. But when he came over here, he didn't have the same success that Tom has. And I think it's like when two equal singles riders they move up to the twins, some just rise to the occasion better than others. And I think with Tom, and Max even too, I think their parents, the way they were brought up, their mindset, I think that allowed them to rise to the occasion more, where everybody's talented. I mean, there's guys that are very talented, but you throw 50 talented guys in the mix, it's a lot different than throwing 5 or 6. Like, to really see who puts the work in and who stands out, you need to throw 40-50 guys who are fast, and then you see who gets the job done. And I really think with Tom and Max, they know what it takes. And I attribute it a lot to their parents too. Like they both their dads do a really good job.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm hoping riders at the top level are all going to have to get used to and adjust. It's when we're talking about series in Australia, is it fair that all the races are, let's say, Queensland? Because then there's people travelling like myself 20 hours to get to Queensland, and then there's the local guys that can just go in and they're not fatigued from travel and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it all makes a difference.
We're saying, let's have a round in each state, make it even, so everyone has to travel at some point. And I really hope, I know it sounds like a huge ask and a huge dream, but I really hope that happens with the FIM flat track. There's a round in America, a round in New Zealand, a round in Australia. Obviously, that's huge dollars and a massive commitment, and probably shooting for the stars. But why not?
If they had a round in America and those riders are getting DQ'd for what they're doing, oh my gosh, dude, they would.
Same here. That is pretty
hard.
Actually,
I mean, dude, we slam in the guys going to the track. Like in the pits, guys are more aggressive than that. And I'm just the European guys, they are so soft with how they ride, because it's like in speedway, they go by speedway rules a lot, and it's just so different. If they had a round here in America, I don't know if any of the regular FIM guys would even qualify. There's no way. And I'm not being mean, but it's just
no.
It's like when Mark Marquez had his Super Prestigio race, he only allowed 2 or 3 Americans to come, because if he brought 20 Americans over there, none of the MotoGP guys would be in the final. Like they would just be watching, and they're like the big name guys. Like it wouldn't even be close. So that's the biggest, like the 30th place guy in AFT. He's still good. Like he's not slow, and you see that in MotoGP as well. Like the guy that gets last in MotoGP would probably win like Australian Superbike. Like he's still fast. So yeah.
And in Australia, I class dirt track as a full contact sport. It's argy bargy,
not FIM.
It's not FIM. And same in New Zealand. I had my first flat track race there without front brakes, which was super spinny trying to get the start, because I used my front brakes over here for the start. And couldn't load up the front. It was weird as. But anyway, a guy there by the name of Johnny Brazel slammed into me, and after the race, he's, "Oh, sorry, man." Mate, that's nothing. That's fucking nothing compared to home. That's all good.
This ain't
Just wait
T-ball.
the next race.
Bring it
Yeah.
on. Yeah, I didn't fall off.
Yeah.
If you wiped me out and I fell off and lost my standings because of that, I would have been annoyed. But anyway,
It's not
that's
footy.
what it is.
It's not footy
Yeah.
ball.
Footy ball.
What's that?
It's not
What's
footy ball.
ball?
But real men do. We race motorcycles. So yeah, I'm with you,
That's
man.
right. It requires two
Yeah.
balls.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
one.
Uh-huh.
All right, mate. Well, it must be getting on there. I'm assuming that Cruz has already gone to bed. We haven't had any little faces popping up and
Nah,
interrupting.
he goes to bed early. Yeah, he goes to bed
No,
early.
he's in the
It's,
basement cutting laps to whoop his dad's ass.
Yeah,
we'll have
he's
to get him on one day so that we can increase our viewers.
yeah,
that'd
exactly.
be
Yeah,
awesome.
no one's gonna watch mine. But if it was Cruz or Shayna, you'd have heaps of listeners. But no, man, it was cool. I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me on. It was cool to chat, get to know you guys a little bit, and keep in contact.
You've got it
sure.
wrong there. We didn't have you on. You had us on, and we had you on.
Yeah. True.
You got
Yeah,
to
I
come back on.
appreciate
Are you
confused?
confused?
Another one for sure.
Dude, I'll come on whenever you guys. Whenever if I'm nothing going on, I'm down. I'll make it happen. It was fun. I love chatting motorcycles, and yeah, hopefully see you guys some point. Maybe I'll make a trip. So
Yeah, well, vice versa. I was really
Nice.
shattered. I wanted to come in to Sturgis because Sturgis Rally is something I've always wanted to do.
it's the best. It's the best.
I grew up
Hell
around Nortons and Harleys and stuff, and went to biker rallies and that when I was a kid, all through my
Sturgis is
adolescence.
awesome.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to do that, and I love the
Daytona. Daytona is the
there.
best.
Is
Bike
it?
week,
Yeah.
Daytona Bike Week. Oh yeah, dude. There's
Yeah.
girls wrestling in coleslaw. There's all kinds of stuff. Anything you want to see motorcycling. Yeah, it's the best, man. Daytona is awesome. So if you're gonna come, Sturgis is really cool. That's probably my favorite trip of the year. But Daytona Bike Week it's the best.
Yeah, I've got some friends that live in Colorado. I think I mapped it out as about a 6-hour drive from their house
It's
to
not far.
Sturgis.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, so I sort of thought that's doable, and then I can go and see them too. They're pretty cool dudes.
Let me know. Let me know if you go. I'll meet up with you for sure.
Yeah, well, they bloody put it at Black Hill, isn't it? Instead.
They might have two races in Sturgis next year. That I think they might be going back to the chip, but I don't know.
That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, the chip is so much fun. Yeah, that one's you race inside of a bar. I mean, it's awesome. Like people hang wide on the track, and yeah, it's awesome. So
yeah, I saw I'm not sure what year it was, and they interviewed Ricky Carmichael. He was on the piss in the crowd. It was pretty good.
yeah.
I was thinking, it's funny because I don't drink because I'm not a good drinker. You don't want to know me when I'm drunk. But I still enjoy a party. People think because you don't drink that you don't party. I love to party. It's actually better now being sober than when I used to drink because I remember everything. I haven't
know
had
what's
anyone,
going on. Yeah,
and we've had a ball.
Yeah. I feel like everybody
better.
that comes, like the flat track vibe, it just people just want to drink and hang out. Like Kurt Busch, he's a NASCAR guy. He came to I think Daytona last year, and he flagged and he could barely even stand up. He was hammered, and it's a good vibe for sure. So yeah, once we get a schedule, hopefully it's soon. See if there's any you guys can come over.
Yeah,
sure.
Certainly will. And actually heaps of Aussies have been going over just supporting as well, supporting Tom, and that I think it was good for the sport in a lot of ways. But once again, thanks for the chat and agreeing to come on and hanging out with us for the morning, and getting Tom out of work. That was pretty.
That wasn't.
I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you did that, man.
No problem, guys. No problem. It was fun, and we'll chat you guys real soon.
All right. Do you want to send us out? I can't do the cool kids stuff, so you want to do it, Corey? How do you end your pods? We out.
We out.
I just sound like an old man.
Until next time, we out.
Beauty.
Go Flat Tracker. Go Flat Tracker. Go, go, go.